What's up, you guys? How you doing? This is JD Rich coming back at you with yet another One Piece video and discussion. I'm just quickly here to talk about Gloriosa and Shaki. All right, the two main damsels of Pirate Island, man. Because you got to look at this. Like, Big Mom, yeah, she was like okay back in her prime. I'm just saying, Shaki and Gloriosa both make her look like a pig. That's just my opinion. As bad as Shaki and Gloriosa are, both of them. And even Stussy's cute as well, but Shaki and Gloriosa are the creme de la creme of that island, man, when you talk about in terms of women on Beehive Island. But yes, I'm talking about Shaki and Gloriosa today, and specifically the love lives and history of their love lives between both of them. Now, in the recent chapter, as we learned that Shaki actually went to Pirate Island, Hachinosu, she actually went there to retire safely because she didn't want the government coming after her, but also she didn't want to bring the traces of the government coming after her to Amazon Lily. She didn't want to bring that type of harm on her fellow sisters and Amazonians. So I think this was actually pretty smart. This is actually brilliant. Shaki to go to this island on the faith that she's just gonna be fine around these savages, and she was. But to hide out from the government and the Navy using Beehive, that is genius. That is just superb genius on Shaki's part. But also with the fact that she opened up a bar there as well. So she brought some civility. You could say that Shaki actually humanized the island in a way. She did. Like, women can do that. Like, some women can bring out the best in men, and Shaki is one of those women. And you could say the same thing for Gloriosa, but Shaki just had a greater effect on it. It wasn't just her beauty, her personality, her presence, her enchanting aura, that just affected everyone, including Rox and the crew itself. Like, Rox was smitten, Whitebeard was smitten, everybody was smitten over Shaki. But we know that Shaki later on will become Rayleigh's wife, and then she set up a new bar in Sabaody. But this had to be due to the aftermath of God Valley. And I'm just predicting that the actions that Rayleigh took himself on God Valley, the day that big incident happened, I think that it was Rayleigh who actually ended up saving Shaki. Not just the Roger Pirates in general, but I think it was Rayleigh himself who actually had to go after Shaki and incidentally save her, while probably taking on a God's Knight or taking on Garling, or who knows. Rayleigh probably defeated somebody and ended up saving Shaki and rescuing her himself, while Roger had to deal with Zebek alongside Garp. And maybe Whitebeard, because I did say that Whitebeard was the ultimate traitor of the Rocks Pirates, because it's mentioned that there was a specific traitor in the Rocks Pirates, but also it's mentioned that they always tried to betray one another and get over and backstab each other. So I'm predicting that Whitebeard had a change of heart and actually sided with Garp and Roger in the midst of the turmoil that was God Valley. But getting back to Shaki and Gloriosa, I believe that it was Rayleigh's actions on God Valley that caused Shaki to fall in love with him, because I think she already had a crush on him from when we first met the Kuji Pirates, and she winked at Rayleigh. So you could see that there was some chemistry festering there that was just waiting to be built up. Now, with Gloriosa, we still see that in this chapter, 1157, she still has a fondness and infatuation with Roger. Then you got Big Mom chiming in saying, hey, what do you think Shaki came here? Do you think she's following a man like the same way you did? Now, you would think that how could Gloriosa be following a man, which would be Roger, by joining up with Rox? What would joining up with Rox do for Gloriosa in terms of getting Roger? Maybe you could say that it's because Roger and Rox probably ran into each other multiple times on the seas, and Gloriosa figured she could use that to get to Roger, because Roger would love going up against Zebek. You know, he grew to liking facing Zebek, who knows? But I think it's more to it than that. And I think that Gloriosa's obsession with Roger would later change. I predict that Gloriosa falls in love with Whitebeard, and I think that this may be during their time together on that island that she got to know Whitebeard probably. Also, Who knows how many raids and other escapades that Gloriosa attended while being a part of the Rocks crew. I don't think Gloriosa was just solely on that island the whole time while Rocks was sailing about. Maybe she went with them at some points, maybe she didn't. But we know that she did go with Rocks and everybody else when they were going back after Shocky. We know that she was in pursuit then. We know that she was on the ship going after Shocky because that's like her homegirl. Despite her being slightly jealous of Shocky, as far as like we saw with her Shocky getting more fan mail than her when she was on the ship together with them. Now, there was some slight jealousy there, but I think that Gloriosa can overlook her jealousy for the fact that Shocky is still her friend and sister in arms at that. Now, Gloriosa, I predict that she actually fell in love with Whitebeard through some of his actions and also getting to know him while being a part of the Rocks faction, a part of the Rocks crew. Because we see during the interaction with Gloriosa and Big Mom, right? Gloriosa points out the fact that Big Mom would know nothing about love because she pops out kids like popcorn. And by the way, we saw a little Katakuri on Big Mom's shoulder, and we saw Bobbin as well, standing there smiling with his weird smile. But with Big Mom on this island popping out kids, you could safely assume that their fathers are somewhere roaming about on Beehive Island. So she was letting anybody run up in her, anybody hit. Big Mom was damn near letting anybody hit, man. She probably let me hit too. I'm playing. Let me stop, man. Let me stop. But Gloriosa, we know that she's still in love with Roger or wants Roger to love him, but I think that changed. I believe that she later she changed her mind. Like, she probably still had feelings for Roger, but I just think she put her focus on another man, and that other man was probably Whitebeard. And like I said before, it may have been due to his actions or possibly saving her during one of the moments that either Stussy or Big Mom or both of them tried to backstab Gloriosa, because we know that the crew would continuously try to get over on one another and betray one another and set each other up and stuff like that. As we saw with Shiki throwing a bomb down in the lower layer of that temple that they were raiding and trying to blow them up, and it took Whitebeard using his tremor fruit to earthquake them out of that situation. Maybe Whitebeard had saved Gloriosa at one point during her time with them, and she later went from, oh, Roger, to, oh, Whitebeard, you know? I believe that Gloriosa and Whitebeard do end up together. And I have a prediction that Gloriosa and Whitebeard had a kid. And that kid is somebody we know today as the new hero of the Marines. That's right, Kobe. I'm predicting that Kobe's full name is actually Edward Kobe, as we see Whitebeard's moniker is Edward Newgate. Like, Edward Kobe. That sounds so dope. Edward Kobe, are you serious? Whitebeard's son is the new hero of the Marines. And then with God Valley 2.0 happening, with Blackbeard now taking over Zebek's will, because he inherited Zebek's will, right? As his son, naturally. You could see a God Valley 2.0 with Luffy, Kobe, both going up against Blackbeard. But I'm still here talking about Gloriosa and Shocky. Like I said, man, I believe Rayleigh's actions at God Valley may have caused Shocky to fall in love with him at that moment. Like, okay, you're the one, I choose you. As I said, it's a Helen of Troy situation. You got Roger, you got the Marines going there because of Roger and Zebek. You got Zebek and Rock's crew. So the Rock's crew and Zebek crew both went there because they're both infatuated and / friends with Shocky. They're not like, as Shocky became the treasure of Hachinosu, you think Zebek is really gonna let the government just come to his island, violate like that, and then just sail off with their most prized possessions as far as Shocky being there with her presence? Shocky's presence enriched that entire island. You had to wait a month just to get inside her bar. So that just says a lot. It's not just her beauty, it was who she was. Shocky represented humanity, certain humanity in a way that the pirate island did not have. So, and plus Shocky's presence probably uplifted a lot of the morale of the Rocks pirates, the founder members and the crazy pirates who were on the island. But also, I believe that Shocky and Gloriosa they both, not just amongst each other, but I believe both of them caused some jealous tension from Big Mom and Stussy. Because we see in a panel that Stussy was actually talking like, yo, that's why you only have eyes for me, right, Whitebeard? You only want me. And Whitebeard's like, yo, I've never been in love with you. I've never loved you. I don't have those feelings for you at all. So you need to check yourself before you wreck yourself, baby. And then she ends up trying to strangle Whitebeard. You know, it's just hilarious, man. That right there is what Stussy is to Whitebeard is what Gloriosa is to Roger in a way. You know, I'm not saying that Roger doesn't think Gloriosa is beautiful. He probably does, but she don't got that shocky sauce. She's not shocky. You feel me? But Roger later on fell in love with Rouge anyway and had a baby with her. But Rayleigh's actions at God Valley are what Shockey fell in love with and what caused Shockey to fall in love with him. I think Rayleigh saved Shockey himself. Not saying that it was just by himself. All I'm saying is while the Roger Pirates were fighting, trying to protect the Celestials, fighting God's Knights, and then Roger contending with Garp and Zebek in like a triple threat before they ended up teaming up. And then Whitebeard coming along, because I know Whitebeard was a part of that fight in a major way. And I think that Whitebeard took on both Kaido and Big Mom. Like, we saw in 957 a fatal, like, semicircle of Garp, Roger, Zebek, Charlotte, Lin, Kaido, and Whitebeard all together in a semicircle. And it seems like it was a 3-on-3. It looked like Roger and Garp were taking on Zebek, while Kaido was keeping Big Mom while Whitebeard was keeping Big Mom and Kaido at bay himself. He may have fought both of those two himself. And then you got Roger and Garp teaming up against Zebek. Now, while the other Roger Pirates were off fighting off the government agents and some Navy members as well, you probably had a skirmish between Garling and Rayleigh that resulted in Rayleigh saving Shockey. Now, with Gloriosa and her love interest, I believe that changed to Whitebeard. I believe it did. We always saw that, and because we saw in previous chapters of God Valley when they were charging in, as you saw Roger and his crew getting off his ship, the Rocks Pirates about to get off their ship. You see Stussy sitting on Whitebeard's shoulder. Then you see a little interaction between Gloriosa and Stussy, like when Gloriosa saying, "Oh, Stussy, you're so soft," or "You suck, Stussy," whatever she was saying. That wasn't random. That was mate guarding. I believe that Gloriosa was actually mate guarding Whitebeard. Like, I truly believe that Gloriosa and Whitebeard ended up together. And I'll be damned if that doesn't come true, because I'm predicting it. I just know that Oda is going to unveil how Gloriosa fell in love with Whitebeard. And I still predict, and I have a theory, that Gloriosa and Whitebeard procreated together, and that's how Kobe was born. Kobe is the son of Whitebeard and Gloriosa. So just think about how cool that would be with Kobe being Whitebeard's son. Kobe was in attendance at his own father's death in a way. Kobe was there when Whitebeard was on Marineford. Kobe was there in the war and did not know that he was literally looking his own father fight the government, fight the Marines. Man, I that's just my prediction, man. I believe Kobe is the son of Whitebeard and his mother is Gloriosa. Now, you could easily debunk me by saying, "But wait, Gloriosa is obsessed with Roger." But yes, okay, I get that. Gloriosa is in love with Roger, but we know that Roger had a baby with Rouge. Roger ends up with Rouge. He didn't want Gloriosa. So you could think that Gloriosa, if she were to change her mind about being in love with Roger, who else would she choose as a possible mate or somebody she would possibly have interest in? You would think Roxy Zebek, right? But I don't believe it's that cut and dry. I believe that it was Whitebeard that she was mentioning with. Because the fact that we got a panel of Big Mom and Gloriosa talking about love, then you got Whitebeard and Stussy in the next panel talking with Whitebeard denouncing any love for Stussy. Gloriosa and Whitebeard are damn near perfect for each other. Like, really, dude. So, given that I predict that Kobe is Gloriosa's son, and then also with the fact that Tritoma is suspected to be Luffy's mom, you got two princes of Amazon Lily in Luffy and Kobe. That's what's so beautiful about Luffy and Kobe's relationship. They're flip coins of each other. One pirate, one marine, both of their mothers Amazonian princesses. One father a pirate, one father a revolutionary. Luffy and Kobe are literally flip coins of one another, but just their dreams are similarly intertwined, but just different aspirations. King of the pirates, a hero in the Marines, a Navy admiral. But I believe Kobe is just going to be a vice admiral because he does not. I don't believe Kobe wants to take orders from the Celestials or anything like that. So Kobe will work his way up to vice admiral. But Kobe and Luffy are basically the new Dragon and the new Roger and Garp. I love it, man. I love it. And yeah, man, Gloriosa and Shaki, they're so important right now. They are pivotally important right now to this God Valley story because we are going to see Gloriosa. I guarantee we will see Gloriosa fall in love with Whitebeard. And we're also going to see Shaki fall in love with Rayleigh. But Shaki falling in love with Rayleigh is directly linked to Rayleigh, the actions that Rayleigh took on God Valley. Because I think that it was Rayleigh who solely saved her while everybody else was fighting and whatnot. And Rayleigh fought too, don't get me wrong, but I believe he fought Garling or any other God's Knights or some government entity or official or agents to save Shaki and bring her home. Then you got Roger and Garp fighting Zebek. And Whitebeard along with that fight as well. Maybe it was like, maybe Whitebeard's actions during the God Valley incident are what caused Gloriosa to fall in love with him. Because I'm predicting that. But, and if that wasn't the case, what if it was Stussy and Big Mom trying to backstab Gloriosa out of jealousy of her beauty, as well as her relationship with Shaki, because they just didn't like them like that? Because, like, you got two women over here, and then you got the two hottest women that could ever exist on Hachinosu and Beehive. Like, let's be real. Shaki and Gloriosa are the best two. They're the best two entities, best two women to ever appear on Hachinosu. So yes, like even though Shaki is renowned as the treasure, you can easily look at Gloriosa as the runner-up. You know what I'm saying, for Hachinosu. You think those pirates weren't trying to get at Gloriosa? Come on now, man. Let's be real. So with that being said, you got two former Amazon empresses on Hachinosu. That's just an amazing feat in itself, having Gloriosa and Shaki on the same island. But like I said, Big Mom and Stussy may have been jealous of them, and maybe one of them or both of them tried to do something to maybe it was Big Mom and Stussy who, like I said before, tried to do something to Gloriosa and ended up affecting Shaki instead. Who knows? I'm just spitballing here. But Gloriosa, Stussy and Big Mom, they may have either teamed up or separately tried to backstab Gloriosa, and maybe Whitebeard had to pull her out of that jam, and then she started to develop feelings for Whitebeard. Or she developed those feelings during the events of God Valley, watching Whitebeard tangle with Zebek, Garp, and Roger. But I think that, for a government official to come to Hachinosu and then kidnap Shaki, this had to be a powerful individual or individuals. So whether it was a group or just one agent himself with some underlings, this was a powerful entity of the government to just go and kidnap Shaki of all people. And maybe they weren't even there to kidnap Shaki. Maybe they were there to gather intel about the island and how they can take it back, but just ended up stumbling across Shaki by coincidence and said, oh, let's take her too. And once Zebek found this out, it was all hands on deck. And once Roger found out that Shaki was taken by the government, it was all hands on deck. And it's up. You took my friend. You took the treasure of my island. It's up. What are you talking about? We're going full throttle. We going after her. So yeah, that's just my small little prediction discussion about Shaki and Gloriosa, man, their love lives and whatnot. Also, what led to them falling in love with the men that they fell in love with. Because I think it's all tied in with God Valley, but also it may be tied into some events that led up to God Valley, which we're seeing now with Shaki being kidnapped. And more than likely, Rayleigh was the one who saved her at the aftermath of that battle. So That's all I got for you today. Just wanted to bring you guys a quick discussion, just my thoughts, my predictions. You know what I'm saying? Where my head is at with it. I know you feel free to disagree if you want to, but I'm predicting this: Gloriosa and Whitebeard are Kobe's parents. Gloriosa and Whitebeard are Kobe's parents, and I think everybody probably suspects this already. But Tritoma has to be Luffy's mom. So wouldn't that be something though if Kobe and Luffy both had empresses for mothers? Wouldn't that be crazy? I would love that. I'm loving it. I'm loving where this story is going in general, but I would love that. That would be amazing to me. So yeah, man, that's all I got for you today, man. This is JD Rich, man, coming back at you with another One Piece video and discussion. And remember, a piece of life is life in one piece. Peace.